Sheena Ringo. We are continuing our track by track listen through to her third album. We're on to the third album already. It's amazing. We've listened to so many songs and yet it seems to just feels like it's flying by. And this song that we're on to today is called Doppelganger. It's the second song on this album. Now, not to repeat myself too much, but I've said a few times about how this is the album I've been most looking forward to. After I heard Mosaic Moratorium and I just really loved the vibe of it and it was like the perfect debut album virtually, I kind of read a few things, not too much to give myself spoilers, but just get a feel for how her discography progressed. And everything I read about this album was just made me very excited about it. Now, the opening song, Religion, certainly took us in an interesting direction. It had a little bit of Sheena Ringo's writing style, a little bit of the production that we heard more on the second album, but it all just felt much crisper and more confident. And that is, well, bringing us now out of the first track into the second. The album is underway, Doppelganger. Knowing what Sheena Ringo is like, I can imagine a lot of her songs are about internal conflict. So the minute I hear the name Doppelganger, I immediately see this as this is probably her talking about like internal dialogue. I'm assuming there's going to be a little bit of that, a bit of a back and forth between her and her own mindset. But let's see what we get. I'm going to try and give a fair review of everything, but mostly I'm just excited to see how this picks up from the end of Religion, which is a song that ended in a slightly weird breakdown. Cool bit of experimentation, but the pace really slowed at the end of the song. Went a little bit creepy, a bit mysterious. Let's jump in with Doppelganger. Love that balance of sounds. Again, it's all about this balance of sounds, isn't it? It's like so interesting. A little switch of time signatures there. Nice sort of way of breaking it up. So I imagine we're going to throw it back in a minute. I love how you can hear those sort of sounds, like what sounds like a rattling train carriage or something. Right, this one is very interesting. This one's very, very interesting. I have so many things I want to say about this one. First of all, I think the one thing that really hits very hard is that. So as I say, like the thing that I'm always fascinated by is song creators, people who make music, the way that they think about it, the way that they craft the songs, the way that they get their internal monologue, their internal thoughts, and turn it into music. The real craft of doing that. And I genuinely feel like there's a lot of just her really kind of allowing her thoughts and everything just to explode onto the page here. This really feels like a piece of music where you can feel the experimentation, you can feel the playfulness. I can imagine her getting all of these various sounds. I don't know how much of it was looping and how much it was actually performed throughout as single takes, but those sounds and layering them all over. We had things like the sort of the building up kind of it's almost like it's kind of like a timpani type drum, but it's not. That kind of building up flat sort of drum. You had that there. You had the little music box sound. There were so many sounds that it almost defies any meaning to point them out individually. And I probably would miss a bunch. It was just the fact that they were all coming together to make this very sort of thick, layered sound. And the vocal was bouncing around in between that as well. And honestly, it created a very I mean, the one thing that works so much about this is it's one of those songs where, although we could sort of academically point out other songs that use similar ideas and do similar things, that all being one side, it's just the fact that this song feels so unique. Genuinely, the sound of this song, it feels genuinely like, as much as I could talk about other songs that do similar things, can I tell you a song that sounds just like that? Very, very few, if any. It really feels like a song that has a genuinely creative and unique vibe to it that just kind of launches out through the headphones and really grabs you. Now, the question is for me, this hits a little bit of an interesting line, and it's a line that I've spoken about a lot on this channel before, off and on, but many times, which is creativity. When you really have a lot of great ideas, that to me is always the most exciting thing, when someone has more ideas than they can do things with. But it's that line between creative and effective. For me, this song kind of just went a little bit to the point where it never really... I didn't really feel like it was emotionally coming across as well as... I think there was a lot more emotion in the creation than there was in the final product. Because it felt so full of her throwing all these things emotionally into the song, and yet when I heard it kind of sounded chaotic, but it didn't really kind of hit me. It felt like it went into this chaotic place, and it never, like, there was this chorus which was kind of a bit where you feel like, oh, that's where it all comes round to. It was interesting how it broke into the da, 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 sort of went swing time, and then the bit where it suddenly stopped and went to the music box. In a way, I feel like that's supposed to be a sudden emotional cut, and you're supposed to feel it. It just kind of felt very random to me. And I think that's the problem, is for me, a lot of the things in this song, they felt random, they felt clever, they felt inspired, but it just kind of didn't come together in a song that really felt that emotionally impactful for me. So I was more impressed by the song than I was feeling like, oh, I'm definitely going to come back to this. It's one of those songs where you sit there and listen to it like this, going, yeah, that's really clever. That's really clever. Really clever. Cool. Nice. It's I don't want to say it's like a tech demo, because that's such a dry terminology, but it feels more like a demonstration of how creative Sheena Ringo is than necessarily a song that actually lands emotionally for me. Lyrically it seems to be going in the sort of direction I suspect. I mean, again, you're looking at me, who's got very basic Japanese knowledge, compared to Sheena Ringo, who's known for being extremely careful with wordplay. There could be other things in there that I very much have missed, but ultimately it seems to be that internal dialogue vibe. I liked this, and I feel like I was super impressed by this. Really impressed by this. I was impressed more than I was thinking, I want to come back and listen to that again. I was listening to it like, that's really clever, more than, wow, I can't wait to play this a second time. thinking more like, wow, she's got so many ideas rather than, oh, that hits me in an emotional way. And that is maybe a little bit of an interesting point that I would love to know how you guys feel about this. I think some people are much more lyric focused than I. For me, lyrics are important. I know some people might think I don't actually believe that. Lyrics are very important, but to me, lyrics are the thing which they are the final layer. They might be the inspiration for why you wrote the song, but in the final effect, they're usually the thing that sits on top of the song, and the song really carries. The music can convey more than any words. And for me, it was like, so there might be some people who say, oh, but the lyrics are really, really hit me. But I'm like, I'm not sure if the music did. It was just very clever. Tell me what you think. I don't know if I'm going to get hate for this comment, but as always, I'm honest on this channel. I mean, I'm doing this track by track listen through because of the fact that I've really enjoyed everything I've heard so far, and I would much rather listen to an artist like this who has something really interesting and artistic to say, and that you can talk about and debate your opinions about the artistry. I'd much rather talk about this than listen to something bland and go, it's good. Much more interesting to have these kind of things. So let me know what you thought about this one. Definitely an interesting one. Definitely the one thing I will say, at least the album seems to be proceeding with ideas aplenty. But let me know what you think in the comments, and until I hopefully see you very soon for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.